This is my horror VR game that my team and I have been working on for the last 5 months, and it's a short vertical slice of like just a couple scares leading up to it, I guess, and a little bit of sandbox gameplay with the enemy that I will encounter, and then I'll just kind of like play through it and let it talk for itself, and then I'll comment on a couple things as I go. Okay. So, this case, I'm personally like a 3D environment artist doing event design. So, I do a lot of Unreal Engine renders. So, I decided to create like a really detailed looking interior house. So that's how the inception of this thing began. And also, one of my biggest inspirations is Hideo Kojima and his canceled PT Silent Hill game. So as you can see, this is one of the very first things that I built was a hallway. So I just kind of started there and began to kind of show a lot of my friends, and they found interest in it. So we got a couple of programmers and composers and sound designers. We all just kind of like do this on our free time now. So in VR, like obviously this is not new. You can throw stuff around. But that, a lot of people that I've demoed tend to just like to stay in this area and try to see what makes what noise and throw it. So we thought, why not create a gameplay around this kind of simple mechanic? So actually, I don't think you guys can hear it, but let me turn up the actual sound design here. There's a little better. So the sound design is all custom made by our 2 sound designers. And everything has some sound that you would think makes noise. So that all comes in handy later on. I'm going to show you. So in this case, the enemy that is spawning now is a ghost that is, oh shit, it's right here. She is blind, so she is attracted to sound. So that's why all the things you were throwing earlier kind of comes in handy. So tossing it over there, hopefully she kind of goes after it. Sorry, this is a new build. We kind of tweaked her AI. She's kind of not reacting completely how I want it. Okay, so now she's out of my way. And the objective here is to try to find that second key item that little doll was holding and place it into the dollhouse. And as you can see, we're moving a little slow because we want to have our footsteps masked. If the sound was a little higher, you'll be able to kind of hear all the footsteps that I'm making. And we don't have it in yet, but we want it to where your footsteps also attract her. So it's like The Quiet Place, the movie. You make a sound, you die. So she's not in here. She's randomly spawned, so every playthrough is very different. So a lot of people like to watch the gameplay, and they want to try it themselves, and they think it's going to happen the same way. So in this case, I'm just going to end the demo here and kind of show you what happens when I do make a sound and she kind of snaps over. So that's kind of the gameplay there, where you try to avoid the ghost while finding the key items. So there you go. So I would like to show you one more thing that we've been working on but wasn't ready to show for today. We've noticed that every time we do demos, the crowds like to kind of watch and not necessarily try it themselves in VR. So they get peer pressured into going up one of their friends. And I've noticed that what if people they gave you the ability to scare your friends? So let me kind of show you first the kind of showings that we've done. So this is, the 626 Night Market. There was a booth that we had set up. And there was like 20,000 people at this venue. So the kind of crowds that kind of gather around like this, they like to watch. They like to kind of see the reactions of the person in VR, and especially their friends. So I'm going to end that there real quick since this is a short demo. We, from the beginning, wanted to implement this, and recently, a couple weeks ago, we did happen to get this working prototype in of, I don't know if you guys have played Jackbox TV. Basically, you can bring out your phones and you can type in a code that's on the screen at the menu screen. And here you can join into this game that your friends are playing in VR. So in this case, we're punching that code in that's on the screen. And he's locked in, and the VR person starts. And from here, we only tested a sound, but from here it actually worked. So the input is there. Now we're trying to figure out how do we do give the player a choice of A, B, or C type of scares. They can pick which room to set it in, and if that triggers, they score points per round. And then the next round, you're up in VR. Everybody else gets to scare you. There you go. Questions?
Are you incapable of scaring yourself because you designed it?
Before, I was actually terrified of scary movies and games. Like I said, I don't know if everybody's heard that PT game, the hallway looping for 45 minutes. I never finished it. It was too scary for me. So for me, I knew being an environment artist, I needed something that looks good, but not necessarily a lot of programming involved. So what kind of genre best suits that? And it would be horror. So I kind of decided to do that because I can create something pretty, but not necessarily interactable. So that's this game, Reiko's Fragments. But fortunately, a lot of programmer buddies are hopping on now, and now we're adding gameplay where you can play with the AI and stuff. So on top of that, the arcade mode with the phone. So we're definitely shifting into more interactive stuff now.
That looked really creepy and cool, and I think I would love to see it like the Void style, physical environment plus this, like cobwebs or air blasts. That would be. Have you thought about that sort of thing?
Absolutely, yeah. Location-based is something that we've realized when demoing. It's like, hey, this whole VR thing, it's working at locations where crowds are gathering, people want to watch, and then obviously we've tried the Void ourselves because we keep hearing about it, and we were like, wow, if we can put some trackers in here and have the walls section off kind of how the house is, we can kind of mimic that kind of experience.